Our first episode of this beautiful anime's second season begins with a superpowered child, Lloyd. Ren enters his room, telling him it's time for breakfast, but she only finds Grim and Shiru, the giant cat. She looks left and right, searching for Lloyd, and then finds a white llama next to her that says, "Good morning." Ren climbs onto it and is startled, then disappears into the big cat. Lloyd finally appears in his true form and asks her, "What do you think of that? I can hide my presence well by suppressing my mana, which I learned before." She tells him, "Excellent. It was perfect for you. Do you know it took me a whole year to do that, but you, mashallah, are beyond imagination." "You're amazing," he replies. "No thanks needed, and I know you're still shy and haven't gotten used to working in this mansion yet." She says, "Unfortunately, no, 2 days aren't enough for me to get used to it. It takes months. Miss Silva taught me a lot, but she's very strict and wonderful. I learned proper etiquette, which is very difficult, but the food is delicious and the beds are I also learned sleeping etiquette, but I will not lose my effort to be the maid you'd be proud of, Lloyd." He tells her, "It's all right, you can be more spontaneous when no one is here but us." At that moment, Silva appears, tidies the room, and scolds Ren, telling her she should arrange things well. Ren apologizes profusely. Meanwhile, the scene shifts outside where Lloyd and Grim were playing with a beautiful spider web. He then tells them that he's counting on them to renovate and build the city as needed, as he doesn't want it to become a ruin. He acknowledges that the repairs will take some time, but likes the work to be done well. At that moment, Babylon appears and everyone welcomes him, as they haven't seen him in a long time. Grim then speaks to them, saying, "If you want a god, I am a god." But they are astonished by his foolish words and say to him, "What's wrong with you, you scoundrel? Are you drunk? There is only one God, and that is Allah. Don't say that again, or we won't let you come near us after that." They then enter the temple, and outside they see that the place is very high up, as they haven't been there in 2 years. When Lloyd erases his words, they fall and break, and he apologizes to Aisha for what happened. Aisha tells him it was an innocent mistake and he doesn't need to do anything, but when she looks closely, she realizes it's her father's favorite decorative glass vase. She gathers the broken pieces without scolding him. At that moment, Ren comes to her and tells her she shouldn't treat Lloyd like that. Aisha tells her that he's a good boy who loves magic so much that he loses interest in everything else. He joins the church this time to learn all kinds of spells, and he used to spend a lot of money on them. She remembers what he did before, as he used to break many vases, but she never took any action against him, as he did all that for her to kill him with a spell, but she never did that, telling him that these spells should only be used against real villains. But she is very proud of him, because he asks to be disciplined like this. She then suggests they sing together, but Lloyd leaves to go. At that moment, a demonic creature appears and tries to kill Lloyd and everyone, but nothing happens to them. We return to reality, where Aisha tells them that Lloyd later confessed what he did and was expelled from the church, as he completely messed with her father's belongings, and people started calling him the devil's chick. But that can't be true. She knows very well and is sure that Lloyd is a good person. She then decides to invite Lloyd to join them, where he will meet the choir during dinner today. We then see Lloyd throwing the broken pieces in the trash, and as he was throwing them in the street, he finds 2 people shouting at a girl because she bumped into them while walking in the street. When Lloyd looked closely at her face, he found that she was his sister Saria. The 2 people were still shouting at her and telling her that she would pay the medical bill for their friend. Saria didn't care about their words and continued on her way. At that moment, Ren and her friends come out of the church and ask Lloyd if this is his sister or not. He tells them that she is his sister, the 4th princess of the Kingdom of Salem, and a musical prodigy. She is also an expert in all kinds of musical instruments, but she is ignorant of anything else besides music. And this is a bit exhausting. We return again to Saria, where the same person is still arguing with her about what she did, telling her that no one surpasses him when it comes to making ladies scream from his hitting. Aisha runs to her and punches him in the face, telling him that Saria is her best friend and not a musical instrument, as he says. She is afraid that the choir performance won't happen today because Saria will perform the choir concert with her, who is hitting a choir himself from his concert. At that moment, Grim speaks in Lloyd's ear and asks him about the spells he knows. What if he uses them by ritual and not by a mana sign? He helps everyone who listens to him. Lloyd thinks to himself that he cannot allow such a performance to be cancelled. Saria speaks at that moment, saying that, as much as there are good notes, Aisha's crying now is a big negative. She doesn't want her to cry, but to sing. And the best way to get good music out of Aisha is her piano. Ren then uses her power, making them lose consciousness. Lloyd tells her that this is very good, because she was able to avoid affecting them and only put the priest and the gang members to sleep. This is an application of the mana suppression used by the guild, where mana concentration is opening one hole to release mana during a mana suppression state, and the pressure is not only stronger, but also makes targeting easier. In addition, Ren did exactly as he told her, as she is able to turn her poison into a sleeping gas. Suddenly, the criminals wake up because Ren cannot produce poison as she wishes yet, as she was trying to make enough potion to knock out an adult male, but with stupid men like these, she sometimes needs a large dose. When the criminals hear them, they try to attack her, and because she caused them to fall asleep, her friend Babylon has to put them to sleep the hard way. But Lloyd refuses this, because they might regain consciousness again and cause them a bigger problem. He then approaches them, using the instant teleportation spell in one step, and then tells his friends that he doesn't know where they went, but they got rid of them quickly. After that, they all enter the church, and Lloyd tells them what he did. He then meets his sister Saria and tells her that he is happy to see her, but Saria almost forgot his name, as she only remembers those who are related to music. Aisha comes to them at that moment and asks Lloyd if he wants to sing with them during the performance. But Saria refuses because he hasn't practiced enough and doesn't have much with him. She also doesn't want him to ruin their performance with unplanned musical accompaniment. She then asks them to get ready, and everyone gets ready to listen to the performance. Aisha actually starts singing, and everyone is amazed by her voice, as she looks like a rain of processed particles. Everyone is affected by her voice. At that moment, Lloyd tries to try something, which is to use the instant teleportation spell to see what will happen. But he finds himself gone very far, and this takes a long time. He has never instantly teleported across this kind of distance before. All he did was track that mana-filled gaze and activate the Shadow Wolf, but he never expected this range. Then Lloyd and Grim reach this place, and they continue to wander around to see what happens, and there they met this beautiful girl. Thus ends today's episode. If you liked the video, please click like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Our second chapter opens in the breathtaking, silent expanse of outer space. We find our hero, Lloyd, floating amidst the star-dusted void. It is here that he stumbles upon a magnificent and otherworldly being. With powerful feathered wings and an ethereal glow, it could only be what legends describe as an angel. In a bold and unexpected move, Lloyd seizes the creature and, with a flick of his wrist, sends it tumbling through a cosmic cloud. Dazed and enraged, the winged being rights itself, its voice booming through the emptiness. "What insolent fool dares to accost me in such a manner?" But as its eyes focused, the fury turns to sheer astonishment. It was a mere mortal, a human. "Impossible!" the angel cried out. "How did you reach this sacred domain? Countless barriers, impenetrable defenses were erected to keep your kind out. Explain yourselves. What sorcery or forbidden path brought you here?" Lloyd, ever nonchalant, simply replied, "I'm not entirely sure myself. But that's not important. What is important is whether you can teach me a few things." The angel scoffed, its pride wounded. "Teach you? You audacious fool. You have trespassed, breaching the unbreachable, sneaking past the Iron Dome itself, only to arrogantly demand my tutelage? Truly, the ignorance of mortals knows no bounds. Very well, allow me to demonstrate the full, terrifying extent of my power. I assure you, human, you will not be leaving this place alive." The being began to gather a fearsome energy, but Lloyd, ever prepared, instantly erected a formidable firewall, forged from a high-level, ancient heritage. The scene then snaps back to Earth with jarring speed. Below, Lloyd's friends, particularly a worried Rin, are pacing with anxiety. What could have happened? Did Lloyd truly fly off somewhere into the vastness of space? They try to console one another, their words of reassurance barely hiding their fear. Even the wise Bibalon attempts to calm the rising panic. "Everyone, please, stay calm," he urged. "This is not the way. I will ascend myself and investigate the situation personally." We are then pulled back to the cosmic battlefield, where the duel between Lloyd and the winged warrior has erupted into a spectacular and furious confrontation. The combat was fierce, a whirlwind of energy and might. The celestial being unleashed a volley of 4 ethereal arrows, each one glowing with menacing power and streaking through the void like a destructive cruise missile. Yet, Lloyd parried them with astonishing ease. The angel watched in disbelief. What is this incredible power? The way he materializes those defenses, he must be channeling an immense amount of mana to manifest so many swords for protection. In response, Lloyd answered not with words, but with action. He gathered his own energy and unleashed a counterattack so potent that the very fabric of the dimensional barrier around them began to crack under the strain. Then, employing an advanced and mysterious technique, Lloyd seemed to pull an object from his very mouth. "My friend," he said, his voice echoing with finality, "your time is up." He then unleashed his ultimate attack, the Shadow Wolf. A colossal beast of pure darkness and energy erupted into existence. So powerful, it threatened to incinerate the entire sector of space, bathing everything in a hellish light. At the last possible second, the angel, perhaps miscalculating the sheer scale of the attack, managed to dodge and flee. From a safe distance, Grim's voice crackled with excitement through a communication channel, cheering Lloyd on. "Bravo, my prince! That move was beyond anyone's wildest expectations. Were you actually trying to finish him off for good?" "No, not quite," Lloyd replied, his power receding slightly. "I will neutralize my strength as much as I can." He then unleashed another, more controlled burst of fiery energy. Just then, Grim's voice broadcasted across the area, addressing the celestial warrior directly. "O winged being, Prince Lloyd has no desire to kill you. He simply wishes for you to share your knowledge. You must surrender immediately." Ignoring the plea, the creature refused to yield. It gathered its remaining strength and launched a desperate, surprise assault. However, it was a futile effort. Lloyd effortlessly activated another of his impenetrable defensive walls, and the angel's attack dissipated harmlessly against it. The winged being had exhausted its power, its celestial light beginning to fade. In the end, Lloyd stood victorious over the spatial warrior. But instead of delivering a final blow, he did something remarkable. He reached out and shared a portion of his own vast energy with his defeated foe, seeking to heal and stabilize him. It was an act of pure power transference, much like plugging a phone into a charger. Weakly, the angel looked up in utter confusion. What are you doing?" he whispered, bewildered. Just let me perish. I tried to kill you. Why are you saving me? Lloyd simply met his gaze, a universe of untold power and surprising compassion in his eyes, ready to provide the answer. Of course, here is the continuation of the story, translated and stylized to flow seamlessly from the previous part. The defeated angel looked up in bewilderment. Just let me perish, he whispered. I tried to kill you. Why are you saving me? Lloyd simply smiled, his immense power now radiating a gentle warmth. That doesn't matter, he replied. I just believe in doing a good deed when I can. Stunned by this act of mercy, the celestial being relented. He agreed to teach Lloyd what he knew, but on one condition. A formal pact must be forged between them. Hold out your hand, the angel commanded. As Lloyd extended his arm, the being's form dissolved into pure light and flowed into Lloyd's palm, merging with him. What his true intentions are, we cannot say for certain. Is he merely seeking a vessel to visit Earth, to gather intelligence, or to send a signal back to his homeworld? We, my friends, do not yet know the truth. Speaking to Lloyd now from within, his voice a thought in Lloyd's mind, the angel confirmed the bond. I am with you now, active at your every whim. I am the eye in your hand. The very moment you think of me, I shall be there. But a sinister undercurrent lay beneath his words. In the privacy of his new form, the angel laughed to himself, his thoughts dripping with malice. That utter fool? He has no idea what I have truly done to him, or the chaos I will soon unleash. Meanwhile, Grimm, observing the massive surge in Lloyd's aura, was awestruck. With this new power, he murmured, the prince could easily usurp the demon lord himself if he chose to. To test the limits of this new pact, they ascended even higher, to the very apex of this strange world, far above the tallest skyscrapers. Here, Lloyd decided to experiment with his newfound techniques, abilities that were terrifyingly powerful and shockingly modern. He called upon his new partner, and from his power, a monstrous creature began to manifest. A grotesque, gigantic octopus-like beast of pure energy started to coalesce, its shadow falling over the entire landscape below. Panic erupted among Lloyd's companions. Grimm, more terrified than anyone, screamed into the communicator, Lloyd, you must stop that specter immediately. It's going to destroy everything. Relax, my friend, Lloyd's voice called back, a hint of strained effort in his tone. I'm not finished yet. It's still under construction. The scene then cuts violently back to planet Earth. One of Lloyd's friends, looking up at the sky, is muttering to himself. You can still hear the echoes of their battle from all the way up there, he mused. But this rolling thunder has no sense of etiquette. Just as he contemplated this, he felt a strange presence. A truly eccentric-looking man had appeared as if from nowhere. You must be from the main church, the stranger said, his tone polite yet unsettling. Perhaps it is time for you to return from whence you came. If you'd like, I can escort you. Please, right this way. All right, fine, I'll go, Lloyd's friend replied, unnerved. But first, tell me who you are. I am merely a guide, the man answered with a thin smile. I guide those who, like you, have lost their way. I also work here, though my duties are of a confidential nature. I cannot speak of them. I have served in this place for many, many years. But friends, it was clear this was not the whole story. This bizarre man was hiding a great deal more than he let on. At that moment, Babylon and her companions arrived, and the reaction was immediate. Shiro, the great white wolf, began to growl, his hackles raised, deeply afraid of this peculiar stranger. His instincts were screaming that something was terribly wrong. Suddenly, a sonic boom ripped through the air. Lloyd arrived, streaking down from the heavens and landing on Earth with the speed of a rocket. He blazed past the eccentric man, and for a fleeting second, a tense, unspoken energy passed between them. Something, it seemed, was about to happen. For now, however, it was a time for celebration. Everyone gathered around Lloyd, congratulating him on his safe return. The air was filled with joy and relief. But Babylon, the sharp-witted, green-haired girl, was already piecing things together. Her mind raced, connecting the dots. The strange man she met outside, his unsettling presence, Shiro's reaction. Could he be an assassin? Was he here to eliminate someone important, like Lloyd, or perhaps someone else entirely? The camera then shifts, focusing on the eccentric man, now standing alone. His face is twisted in a mask of pure fury, enraged that his cover may have already been blown. What is this man's story? What is his true dark purpose? Follow us into the next episode to uncover the truth. But to do that, you'll have to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell so you don't miss a single thrilling update. The anime episode begins with Lloyd and his friends as Kubo teaches them various types of magic to use. However, Kubo becomes very bored, unable to believe he's forced to grant this sorcery to these fools. Lloyd tells him that his research on this magic would progress much faster with multiple users, so he should continue and innovate a method for everyone, so he wouldn't be needed to perform rituals. Kubo replies that he made an exception for Lloyd, but has only done so for one other person in history. Lloyd then asks if he can shrink more, like Grimm, which angers Kubo because he wants him to take on that horrible Grim Reaper form. Grimm mocks him, saying he can't even master the basics of transformation. Kubo yells at him, and they continue to bicker. Afterward, Lloyd sits with Grimm, who asks him if chanting Asher's full incantation was also a magical spell. Lloyd replies that it was indeed a purification magic spell, as it heals wounds and expels undead, ethereal beings, and demons. At that moment, two people from Lord Host see Lloyd and become enraged, calling him the troublesome child who hurt the church. They want to kill him, But Crow and Talia defend him and apologize to Lloyd. They know the people of Lord Host are very troublesome, and fortunately the hierarchy here is determined by strength, saving them a lot of trouble. The two people then ask Talia and Crow why they are being kind to this liar, stating that if they don't do something, they will. They want to kill him. As they are about to attack, Lloyd uses his magic, and suddenly they transform into people who love Lloyd very much. They then apologize for what happened. Talia and Crow are surprised, wondering how these two completely lost their personalities, as this charm isn't usually so effective, but Prince Lloyd's is exceptional. After that, the two people tell Lloyd they will apologize to the sister, knowing what they did was not good, as these two had tried to do something to Asher and Princess Saria. Rin and Papillion didn't know these people at all. Rin lived in the castle, so it's natural she wouldn't know, and Papillion keeps silent about the island's citizens. The scene then shifts to Papillion, who is seen sitting and eating with all the servants because Lloyd asked him to take charge of the castle in his place. At night, Lloyd returns to the palace where all the servants welcome him. Kubo is surprised as he didn't know Lloyd had all this popularity. This is the life of a prince, he lives in luxury, so Kubo made the right decision. He wants to stay with him in the palace. At that moment, the doll Lloyd made, which perfectly resembles him and can automatically handle simple matters, emerges from its place. Afterward, Lloyd sits with Grim and Kubo, informing them that undead goblins are the ideal material if they want to apply magical sorcery. Grim asks if there are many goblins there, and Lloyd replies that he actually obtained some information during their trip to Lord Host. At that moment, Silpha comes to Lloyd, and Lloyd tells her that if she has nothing to do, she should join them in hunting goblins. Silpha immediately agrees and goes with them, along with Rin, via teleportation. As they go, they are amazed by everything around them, seeing the Great Dean Bridge and the traffic hub connecting the east to the west in the city. Despite this, it's hard to believe that goblins reside in a prosperous part of town. Silpha says the Adventurers Guild received the largest number of sightings in this area. Lloyd asks if their lair can be tracked by scent alone, and Silpha replies that since their smell is similar to rotting meat and in inhabited areas, it's difficult to distinguish the smell from food waste. Lloyd thinks to himself that his spectral detection wouldn't be useful, given the large crowd. At that moment, Asher and Saria arrive. Lloyd asks what brought them to this town today, and they reply that they decided to have delicious pancakes for lunch. Lloyd agrees and asks to go with them. While in the restaurant, Lloyd is very excited to eat the pancakes because of their fluffy, airy texture filled with delight and appetite, with a topping of honey syrup and rich butter that synchronizes with each other. Saria talks to him, telling him that if this is his first time eating pancakes, he should order them plain. At that moment, the pancakes are served and everyone is impressed by their delicious taste. Silpha and Rin decide to serve them in the castle. Afterward, Asher asks what they were doing in this town, and they reply that they came to hunt goblins. Saria replies that many people resorted to the church after being attacked by goblins, and most sightings centered around the Great Dean Bridge, the Great Northern Cemetery, and the alleys in the south. Some adventurers sent to deal with the matter were also lost, but all she cares about is that the incantation isn't cancelled. Rin asks if they will perform the incantation again, and Asher replies that this time it will be much better, as they will chant at the Great Advent Festival and both the king and the pope will be present. If they want to join them, they should do so. They agree to join, but first they will extract information from those goblins. Rin wants to get rid of the goblins quickly so she can return to this town again because she loves it and doesn't want anyone to harm it. Lloyd then talks to them about the goblin lair, stating that they have significantly narrowed down their target range. It seems the Great Dean Bridge is the most common place where goblins have been sighted, but Rin can't imagine a goblin lair in such a place. Lloyd points out the location of the goblin lair. It's under this bridge, at the entrance leading to the sewers. They all enter and find that it smells terrible. There's definitely something rotten inside and they must go in and investigate. But Lloyd is worried about something he heard regarding the missing adventurers. Silpha asks if he knows any of them, and he replies that the reason he knows about these goblins is because she attended their party, so it's possible she preceded them as part of her work, which is why he's worried. At that moment, Tao comes running and hugs Lloyd, telling him she was very worried about him. Silpha hits her on the head. Silpha speaks to them, saying, Prince Lloyd is taking on this goblin hunt to test his sorcery. You're just an addition. She tells Tao, you came out of the sewers, so is this the goblin lair? That's what I thought, but I couldn't find anything. Tao replies, it was dirty and smelled awful, and I got lost. It took sensing your presence to find my way out of that maze. It's not a suitable environment to concentrate on converting ki, but I'll return to my lodge. I dropped many things, like my torch. Lloyd then says, no, that won't be a problem. Helios purification sorcery. After that, they walk and talk. Tao says, there's no need for a torch now. Lloyd explains that Helios being a purifier can do other things. Everyone is astonished by the cleanliness of the place, the water and the air, which is as clean as a windswept plain. Tao happily exclaims, with enough clean air, I can fill my lungs and truly convert ki. This whole area looks suspicious. We'll drive out the goblins. Lloyd tells Shiro to be careful. When you exit Lloyd's spell, you'll smell a terrible odor. This foul smell will overwhelm Shiro's sense of smell. It might take some time. I think I'll use spectral detection to scan the area as well. Silpha is then asked why she didn't bring Demon's Bane with her. She replies, no, because it's better to keep it clean. And since you asked me to accompany you, I'm sure there's something else you want me to carry. Dao says, I think this might be the perfect opportunity to see who's stronger. How about settling it with a little game? She declares, as previously stated, this mission is for Lloyd to test his sorcery. We won't have time for that. It's an all-day individual date with Lloyd. If we're helping you with your experiment, the least we can expect is some reward. Suddenly, many goblins appear, and each one prepares and uses their power. Tao declares, whoever defeats the most goblins gets a date with Lloyd. Tao attacks them, defeating most of them very quickly. Then Silpha goes to them, attacks them with her sword, and defeats most of them as well. They attack the goblins together. Rin then attacks the goblins, but her sword breaks. Lloyd creates another sword for her. Rin says, but it looks the same as the previous one. She strikes the monster and the monster disintegrates. Grimm states that it's not poisonous, but the sorcery is especially effective on goblins. Even a scratch will spread the purification effect, just like poison. Divine sorcery was prepared by the king to fight demons, and it was effective enough that they didn't need to improve it further. And now that the mischievous child has it, the sorcery is about to evolve as if making up for lost time. But he has the best assistance one could ever dream of. They continue their attack on the goblins, defeating them. Silpha gets angry at Lloyd, saying, this sword swings strangely. Lloyd tells her, I've added some water properties to it. It won't break now. They attack the remaining goblins again, with the prize of a date with Lloyd going to whoever defeats them most. Suddenly, a strange monster appears and strikes them all, saying, Civil war occupies the intruders down here at this moment. The scene then shifts to an old man, who seems to think it's better to strengthen the security here. The priest's body will give you freedom of movement throughout the church. This concludes today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the upcoming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Welcome, heroes! Get ready for a new epic journey into a world of thrills and mystery. In this episode, the battle reaches its peak, and our heroes find themselves face to face with an unprecedented danger. Can they uncover the secrets and survive this great challenge? Stay tuned to find out all the exciting details. The new episode begins today with immense excitement. The battle was at its fiercest. Sylvia then asks, does anyone know exactly what happened to us? Tao replies, if you think we all fell at once, you're exaggerating. Perhaps that's not the case. Then, something strange happens. A thread emerges from her, and she exclaims, wait, this is impossible. Maybe I remembered something. She then lunges at the thing, but can't do anything to it. The situation is incredibly dangerous, even worse than anything they've experienced. This being possesses immense power. It uses its sword to destroy Lloyd and his companions, but Lloyd easily deflects the blow. Lloyd analyzes the situation and discovers that the being contains a highly flexible, spiky thread, unlike anything he'd ever known. Tao believes this is connected to the neuron-infested man. He was born in a small region, and it seems his body produces an infinite number of spiky threads made of mana. When these threads come into contact with another person's limbs, they affect their motor nerves and agitate brain commands. Furthermore, these spiky threads wrapped around his skin are imbued with a strong signal and counterattacks, meaning he can move faster than thought itself. He was sent to battle as a biological weapon during a civil war that had erupted in the country. He couldn't control his power any more than they could, but he tipped the scales of power, tearing apart anyone he came into contact with, friend or foe. It was as if his thoughts were erased and he moved like a robot, even after being struck in the heart, continuing to kill with automatic reflexes. After becoming invincible, they were forced to detonate a cliff mass to drown him in the sea. As his body sank beneath the raging waves, he resisted the entire time. Back to reality, they are told, you're right, this could happen, but it was said he died and drowned in the sea. If what you said is true, then even after death, his body kept moving reflexively. There's nothing more unsettling than this. Lloyd began to ponder, my goodness, what will we do now? Did the body that was washed away turn into a ghoul? Because I haven't heard of a ghoul regaining its life's memories. I don't know how to analyze this, but we don't have time to wonder now. He's coming towards us. They are startled by immortality everywhere, like laser threads that could cut them into pieces. The scene quickly shifts to the nun and the man. She asks him, what are you doing? He tells her to be quiet and not speak. Then, a djinn comes to him and says, my lord, if I must possess a body, I'd prefer a beautiful one, like that attractive and enticing woman. He replies, fine, enter her. But at that moment, one of Lloyd's heroes arrives and saves the day. Things are starting to get serious and more exciting. The scene shifts back to Lloyd and his companions. They tried to bypass the spiky threads and succeeded. They then aimed their swords at him, but he was incredibly skilled at catching the sword with his bare hands. He had a limited number of limbs, so one of the group, since he was holding a sword, quickly sedated him. He fell, convulsed, and Lloyd quickly analyzed the situation, saying, if you paralyze him with those thorny threads made of man, you will also lose control. Then Rin continued her advice, her face covered in blood, saying to them, come on, finish him off. This paralysis won't last forever. He has very powerful kicks, but the strangest thing is that this monster can section thorny monsters and make them sharp like a saw. After that, Sylvie used her lion's roar technique on him, kicking him with a powerful blow that destroyed the place. But did they defeat him? I don't think so. They sat down to catch their breath. It was clear that he had complete control over his power. This matter might be much more dangerous than they thought. And indeed, my friends, our belief about this monster was correct. He is still alive and even trying to escape after failing to stop them. He talks to himself, saying, what should I do now? Should I go and enjoy the roof today? The day my master awaits is near. Until then, we've played a suspended game where we could die at any moment, but perhaps we'll meet again, heroes, when the time comes, and then I will destroy you completely. But at that moment, the heroes followed him, and Lloyd used the weapon technique and cut off his leg. The monster cried and remembered things that had happened to him in the past, where he was brutally attacked without mercy or compassion. So he decided to use a djinn to enter his body to become strong, and he met an inventor to transform him into a hero. And indeed, he transformed into a true hero, and his master said to him, "This body is yours now." When he asked what he wanted in return, he laughed a lot and said, "Use it as you wish. I don't want anything from you." So, he decided to take revenge on those scoundrels who used to beat him. We return to reality once again, where Lloyd noticed the secret and uncovered what was behind those threads. The monster became enraged, trying to eliminate Lloyd. But Lloyd activated a protection wall, and we see him enjoying this great fight. Here, he stops the actual effect on him, trying to talk to him, and asks him, "What is your job and how do you speak?" Lloyd talks to him with great ease, to the point that the monster cries with joy. But the joy was not complete. His master, who controls him, then detonates him remotely, but Lloyd might be able to do something. The scene quickly shifts to Babylon, the churchman who controls the monster. The situation was very dangerous. It would be a major battle after the churchman transformed into a real monster. Then, this monster kicked him with a very powerful death kick, sending Babylon flying upwards. He remembered words told to him when he was told, "I want you to stay in the church." Perhaps he was talking to him about that man, the churchman, that his matter was dangerous, but they knew nothing about him. Perhaps he was a sorcerer. Then he told him to take charge of that place, and left him. We return to reality again, and Babylon says, "I don't know why I felt this strange feeling about this man since I met him, and now it was true, but this man is very strong. Perhaps he is bloodthirsty and will undoubtedly try to kill me." He attacks him with his cutting claws, but Babylon was very strong and quick, thinking fast about what he would do. Would he be able to kill him? Then he uses a radiant purification spell. That spell lasted for more than 10 minutes, but the ending was shocking. The other man used his greatest claws and plunged them into Babylon's stomach. Blood poured everywhere. It was a very sad end. What will happen in the coming days? Stay tuned to find out everything. As Babylon is thrown to the ground, the master laments because his enemy has nothing special to show, until suddenly Babylon appears right behind him and tells him he hit the wrong target with his last attack. With that said, he explains a little more about his special ability that it makes Babylon's body extremely flexible, capable of twisting any part of his body more than most people. In the case of his last attack, Babylon explains that he used his ability to twist his body's interior, avoiding a fatal blow from his enemy. Furthermore, he uses his bone wising to increase his strength and attack his master, who in turn notes that Babylon is dangerously powerful. But even though he succeeds in attacking him, Babylon claims to be dissatisfied as he still intends to attack his master with all his strength. With that said, he begins attacking his enemy with several blows, completely cornering him. During the sequence of attacks, Babylon feels as if he's about to vomit his guts out due to the fact that he's running out of mana. But even with all this and his already numb arms, Babylon continues to strike his target, as the sole objective is to ensure that Escher can escape and find a safe place for herself and the priest. But during the fight, Babylon is stung by the claws that protrude from the master's back and falls back against the wall. After this, the master says he understands how the boy feels and then notices that the boy's body appears to be a good host for him. So he decides to kill Babylon to take possession of his body. Meanwhile, Katarina tends to some adventurers who are taking shelter in the guild due to the rain. However, she complains about this, saying the guild shouldn't be used for this. Suddenly, Katarina notices someone else arriving and assumes they're also heading there just to take shelter. However, she realizes that the person who just arrived is actually Escher herself, who arrives at the guild already frightened. Katarina goes to her and asks what happened, but mid-con conversation, the two are interrupted by two adventurers who offer to help Escher with whatever she needs. And although she has everyone's support, Escher remembers the master's threat and decides to refrain from giving any further details, saying that the priest merely slipped in the rain, but will be fine. She then leaves the priest at the guild so he can rest a little longer, then rushes out. However, as soon as she leaves the guild, Escher regrets not asking for their help and feels stupid for letting herself be overcome by fear. After all, the adventurers seem strong enough. But as soon as she remembers the master's terrifying face, she begins to feel sick and realizes she was right not to involve the adventurers in this, as they would surely die if they tried to face that powerful creature. As for Babylon, Escher realizes she needs to think of something to save him as soon as possible, because if she doesn't do it in time, the boy could end up dead at the hands of the master. And as she runs in the rain, Escher once again belittles herself, saying that her only skill is singing, something that doesn't help her fight anyone. Then she begins to cry out to the heavens, asking God for help with her current predicament. And as she says this, Escher remembers her sister belittling her and questioning her motives for joining the church because in her opinion, Cher isn't worthy of being called a holy woman. And suddenly, Cher loses her balance and falls to the ground in a puddle of water. But soon after, she is caught by Lloyd, who tells her that the heavy rain started when it was just on his way to the guild. With that, he offers Usher his umbrella for shelter and says he'll take her back to the church soon. However, seeing that Lloyd has finally decided to show up, Escher ignores everything he said and simply begs for his help. In this case, Escher asks Lloyd to rush off to save Babylon. But as soon as he says this, Escher comes to his senses and tries to trick Lloyd by asking him to forget she asked for his help, knowing that if the boy goes to the enemy, he will end up dead. Meanwhile, Babylon finds himself in an unfamiliar white room and says that his life has never been the best, so he doesn't mind ending up like this. Besides, he believes he's already done his part by ensuring Escher's safety. Realizing he's in a different place, Babylon calls out to someone and asks if there's anything to drink. Just then, a man pulls him to another place where a girl sings beautiful melodies. Hearing the young woman sing, Babylon leaves the drinks for another time, until suddenly he wakes up and realizes that the girl was singing just to wake him up. They give him a recap of everything that happened during the days he was unconscious. In this case, Lloyd picked Babylon up and took him to Lordos so he could receive the best possible treatment. And 3 days later, Babylon finally woke up right there in front of them. And now that he's no longer a concern, Tao decides to focus solely on protecting the church from a possible new invasion. As for Lloyd, he says he took Escher and the priest to Lordos with the others, believing they would be the two main targets of the recent attacks on the church. Having heard everything that happened, Babylon finally realizes his current situation, and then asks about Lloyd. Upon hearing the boy's name, Galilea says that Babylon was lucky to have woken up in time. After all, Lloyd planned to use him as a guinea pig in a forced awakening experiment he planned to carry out. Lloyd looks at him with disappointment, but tries to hide it, saying he's relieved that Babylon has woken up. As for himself, Babylon believes he woke up faster because Lloyd compressed his organs with the power of flexibility. Seeing him speaking so nonchalantly, Talia calls him an idiot and says he almost died. After all, Lloyd and Gerald had to cast healing magic on him for over 10 hours and he still hadn't woken up. Babylon understands the effort they made for him and expresses gratitude to everyone. However, Lloyd tells him he should only thank Usher and Jade, as Usher was purifying him non-stop until she saw him regain consciousness, and she did all this without even asking Lloyd for help. However, Lloyd makes it clear that if it weren't for his teleportation power, Babylon would have died anyway. With that said, Lloyd asks him a few questions to better understand what happened in the church. Upon discovering that the enemy can shapeshift like a monster and even wield Luxa, Gerald becomes irritated with Babylon, as he makes it seem as if an angel like Gyre would actually grant divine magic to such a being. As for Babylon, he reports having fired several divine blows at the monster, but in the end, he saw no sign that the enemy would succumb to the attacks. Upon hearing this, Lloyd reminds him that divine blows only affect guilty consciences, and since the previous enemy suffered no harm, it means he feels no guilt for his actions and believes he is acting correctly. But beyond that, Lloyd also believes that the Enemiah may have some powerful belief that Babylon's purification can't penetrate. But regardless of which option is correct, Lloyd realizes this enemy will give him a lot of trouble. Another day, Lloyd hears the priest version of the monster's attack on the church, and then deduces that the master wanted to possess Escher, and the priest precisely to gain more eyes on the church. However, Lloyd still doesn't understand the being's purpose. As for Babylon, he claims to have encountered the enemy in the inner garden. Upon hearing this, Lloyd points to the inner garden as a suspicious location, and so they head there. While talking to Tao, he asks what Kodorina told him when she heard about the latest events. But mid-conversation, they are interrupted by Kodorina herself, who begins complaining about her work with the Adventurers Guild. Upon hearing this, Tao asks what exactly happened to her. Katerina says that after hearing Tao's report, she decided to go to the church headquarters and give them the image of the man who attacked Babylon. There, the priest is informed of all the details regarding the man, as well as that he used luxurious sacred magic during the combat. But as soon as they hear this, the other priests become irritated, for there is no way such a simple monster could be one of them, God's most devoted servants. Therefore, the priests dismiss any seriousness these reports might have, and instead interpret them as unholy rumors. One of the priests asks who is responsible for spreading the story, and then one of the church servants shows them the image of the governor of Lordost, saying that he is the one behind these rumors. And as soon as they see the man, the priests remind her that the governor of Lordost is just a bandit, with no credibility whatsoever. Seeing them belittling others without being certain of anything, the priest asks them to proceed calmly. But at the end of the meeting, they ask them to present evidence against the church before accusing it of involvement in the attack on Babylon. After all, the man behind the attack was supposedly an agent of the church. As for Lloyd, he decides to continue searching the inner garden and orders the brothers to continue breaking up the garden floor. Meanwhile, Crow talks to the Ravens, asking them to help him with the mission. Suddenly, Saria arrives and starts poking Escher's breast as a way of punishing her for disappearing out of nowhere. She then asks if Cher will be able to attend the recital. Babylon then enters the conversation and informs the rector, Sarah, that Usher was attacked by a very powerful man and may be targeted again, so he believes the recital should be cancelled. Meanwhile, Scylla finally finds something suspicious in the garden, a secret staircase leading somewhere. Lloyd then notices that the basement door is made of a material that blocks both mana and chi. Upon discovering that there was such a place beneath the church, Escher is outraged and Babylon asks her to stay while they go downstairs to check out what's in the basement. But upon hearing this, Cher asks to come with them too. They gain access to the secret location and discover that living beings have been experimented on beneath the church all along. This guy was swearing that it wasn't happening there, or nothing. Guys, you can't be sure. The only certainty in life is that one, so you better check it out. It costs nothing, it's always good, but if I have one certainty in life, it's that you'll want the next episode. So leave a like and subscribe, and also share the video, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. The episode begins with Babylon unconscious in a bed, his friends gathered around him filled with sadness. Aisha enters and offers to use a specific type of sorcery to heal him, but the others are hesitant. Talia moves to strike Aisha, but her friend calms her down. Talia then explains that they were told Babylon was attacked by someone wearing a cleric's uniform, and they can no longer trust anyone from the church. She then leaves. Later, Lloyd and his friends embark on a new and dangerous mission. They discover a laboratory hidden beneath the church. Inside, they are horrified to find many corpses and monsters. Sylvia carefully observes their surroundings and notes that they can hear everything happening in the church above. They discuss the strict security measures of the priest and his fondness for listening to Aisha's singing, leading them to believe this is his hideout. However, the priest is not there, and they don't know if he will return. They are certain, though, that their commotion will lead to the discovery of the lab. As they explore, they find a corpse that has been stitched together like the ghouls they fought in the sewers, confirming that the sewer attack was part of a larger scheme. Lloyd explains that the place is more of a chemical lab than a sorcery lab. Living cells have been harvested, and full limbs have been grown and attached. He deduces that the person's attempts to merge spectral beings with humans were part of a larger research project into composition. Aisha is shocked to learn that all this was happening under the church without her knowledge. Lloyd says they're no longer fighting real ghouls, but rather creatures created from different sources, or what's known as chimeras. The true question, he says, is the culprit's motive. Whatever it is, their actions are utterly disgusting and devoid of morality. He believes the person has likely modified their own body and wants to see it, betting that the culprit's body is the pinnacle of all their research. After their thorough inspection, Sylvia tells the group to destroy the lab and report all the details to Prince Albert. She then expresses her surprise at Lloyd's extensive knowledge of chemistry. Lloyd, flustered, says he only read about it once. Suddenly, their friend Lamia appears, but she has been changed. Her body has been merged with a monster. Lloyd and his friends combine their powers, using an air-tech spell. Galilea assists with a spiderweb cocoon spell, and Kuro and Rin also help. Rin creates a magical barrier between them, surprising the others with her skill. Kuro forces Lamia to surrender, and they restrain her. They then realize that Lamia is a normal human and has not been artificially grown, meaning the experiments were performed on living people. Everyone is distraught, unsure of what to do to save her. Aisha approaches a terrified Lamia and comforts her, saying they are all there to help. In a panic, Lamia strikes Aisha, but Aisha doesn't blame her, understanding her fear. Suddenly, everyone hears a chant with many spells woven into it. Lamia begins to remember her life, and she cries, apologizing to Aisha and telling her she is human. She hugs Aisha, who also cries, regretting that she hadn't noticed Lamia's absence sooner. The next morning, Prince Albert inspects the lab and tells Lloyd's group he wishes to catch the perpetrator quickly, but that they haven't provided enough information. Lloyd then speaks to Lamia, explaining that she has severe memory loss, a side effect of the Chimera transformation. He has an idea. Since Aisha is a sorceress, she might be able to help. Lamia is saddened, not knowing her identity and believing a normal life is impossible in her current state. Galilea reassures her, saying that on his home island of Lordust, people like her can live happily and that they will help her. Lamia then takes out an old rosary she found in the lab, thinking it might be useful. Lloyd recognizes it as an old rosary, possibly belonging to the mysterious cleric. However, Lamia's memories are too hazy. Lloyd reveals that he stole all the notes from the lab before it was destroyed. These notes, he says, are the only clue they have to return Lamia to her human form. He explains that her body is functioning due to a complex mixture of mana signals that even he can't fully understand. The notes are the key, and Lamia is the only one who can study them, compare them to her condition, and figure out how to restore her body. It is her choice, he says, whether to pursue this, give up, or continue to live with her trauma. Lamia becomes excited, thanking him and promising to do everything she can. Everyone encourages her and decides to give her a name, Lami. At that moment, Aisha runs to the castle to find Saria, worried she might not have returned. When she reaches Saria's room, she finds her with Talia and Babylon, eating sweets Babylon made for them as a thank you for his singing practice. Aisha asks Saria to sing with her to prepare a great performance for the Grand Advent Festival. The scene shifts to Lloyd and his brother Prince Albert. Albert says the Advent Festival should be cancelled, angering the others who had plans for it. Sylvia discusses the rosary Lami found with the girls. If it belongs to the mysterious cleric, things are worse than they imagined. Aisha says she has a silver rosary just like Babylon's. Sylvia realizes that while most rosaries are silver, Lami's is made of pure gold. A priest explains that only 12 people carry a golden rosary, the Pope and the 11 bishops who oversee the central church. Rin deduces that one of the 12 bishops must be the villain, but the priest disagrees, saying they are all pious and would never do such a thing. Sylvia considers Babylon's description of the man who can freely change his shape. They conclude that the rosary was likely stolen, as it would be impossible for a bishop to be the culprit. Babylon thinks to himself, recalling Kubo, who was able to use sorcery without a ritual, as he had a license to do so. Normally, such sorcery requires a ritual like singing or dancing, making it a more difficult form of magic to perform. This proves that having a license allows sorcery without a ritual, and only the 12 bishops have such a license. Thus, one of the bishops must own the rosary. Grimm and his friend discuss the situation. His friend says that only the Pope can grant a license, and the other 11 people are those the Pope trusts. similar to the relationship between Lloyd and the people of Lordest Island. Prince Albert then states that given the church's complete refusal of Babylon's testimony, he doubts they will agree to cancel the festival. More importantly, if the enemy has infiltrated the central church, the Pope's life is in danger regardless of any cancellation, and there is little time before the festival begins. Sylvia suggests that if the mysterious cleric is one of the 11, they must isolate the Pope from his bishops on the day of the festival. They can watch the bishops closely under the pretense of providing protection. This, at the very least, should prevent the Pope's assassination. This is their only option. Prince Albert agrees to do what he can. Given the circumstances, he can't rely on the Adventurers Guild, so he must trust the people currently with him. He asks them to be vigilant for anything suspicious from the bishops and to use their wisdom to secure them, ensuring the Grand Advent Festival ends safely. Meanwhile, a girl is stopped by Bishop Anastasia, who asks about the message she is carrying. The girl says it's from Prince Albert to the Pope, and she must deliver it directly. Bishop Anastasia takes it from her by force and descends into the lab beneath the church, where she meets the same man Babylon described. She tells him about the letter, in which the prince requests to examine the church facilities with the Pope and the bishops. The man realizes that the prince got this information from the artificial Lamia. Bishop Anastasia adds that the underground facility was likely destroyed by the prince, but based on the letter, it seems he didn't learn much about it. The man replies that nothing is left from the Civil War. He believes that no matter how much the second prince prepares, he won't be a threat. If the prince thinks shutting down a single branch lab will stop him, he has no idea what the man truly intends to do. No one, he says, can stop them now. And the curtain is about to rise on the great festival. The episode ends with a final message to the viewer to like and subscribe for more content. Our episode today begins with our great group on a new, very cold day. Winter is bearing down on them as they meet the 12 insane bishops. The great Pope Gaetan tells them, "It's a new day. Let's make sure this festival is a success, but we must be careful. Every team, or every group, will search the church, while members of our team serve as guards for you." The short, bald bishop named Gonmo gets angry and says, wait, why are we being separated like this? He is told that this is part of Prince Albert's plan to defend them. Why do they believe that separating them is a way to ensure everyone's safety? So if someone is assassinated, the rest are not? But this is not the truth. You will know everything now. I will tell you the truth. They are doing this to monitor the monster that is hiding among you. But rest assured, we will do the impossible to keep you safe. We will accompany you now to your designated locations for searching. Hurry, get in the cars, please. The great Pope gets in first. As for the bishop, Anastasia, Sophia tells her that she will accompany her. Then, a young man with yellow hair, the Bishop Bats, appears and says, "I don't like this system. I don't need a guard. You're just a fool stupid enough to attack me. I'll kick his butt before I send him to his grave." His friend Dante forces him, saying, "My dear man, shouldn't chatter too much." "Hey man, are you kidding? What are you talking about? I'm awesome and I can do anything and you know that well." He says, "It's obvious, you idiot," which makes Bats even angrier. He says, "Who are you calling an idiot? Are you kidding? Take back what you said or I'll slap you in the face. I'll beat you up." At that moment, Rin comes in and tells them, "Hello everyone, come on, Your Honor Bishop Dante, come over here because I'm going to guard you and make sure you're taken care of." She says to herself, "Oh God, I hope the person I guard is good looking like this." The leader points to that bald man and she says, "No man, I want a handsome good one. But, oh well, maybe next time will be better." She takes him, barely tolerating him, and he tells her, "How do you treat me like this? Please, be more polite, you animal." As for Rosalis, it seems he will be with Babylon, but you are very arrogant. Then our friend who is in the group tells them, "Come on, sweethearts." The bishop notices something in her hand and asks, "What's that in your hand?" She says, "Don't worry, it's just something cold." Then they move on. The next morning, we see everyone in the church and we see the president and his son talking. The son says, "The Pope will arrive soon." He says, "Yes, he'll grace us with his presence. It's been a long time since I've seen Gaetan. I've known him since before I became king." The boy thinks and seems to be smart, saying, "The idea of separating them like this should exclude any chance of assassinating the Pope." He says, "Make sure no unexpected events happen." At that moment, they finally arrive and the son receives them. Yes, it's Albert. The father comes out quickly, very happy, and welcomes Gaetan. He says, "Thank God you're safe. It's been a long time, man, I haven't seen you. It's been more than 20 years. Imagine. I was really looking forward to meeting you today. Come on, let's not stay outside for long. Let's go inside right away because of the cold." Albert stands above and thinks, "I wonder what will happen. Will things go as we want?" Then he remembers the paper that was with his father, which was a threat letter. He says to his father, "Father, does anything come to mind?" The leader or king tells him, "I understand the situation well. I must cancel the Advent Festival immediately. As for you, Albert, it will be up to you to follow up on the investigations. You can coordinate the security guard as you wish during the event." We return to reality again, and he thinks, "I wonder what we're going to do now and how things can turn out. Maybe nothing will happen." Then we see Sylvia and the person with her, and Sylvia says this girl seems very intelligent and understands everything. Then she remembers what happened with her, and maybe she is very close to the leader, but she is curious because things are not stable at all, and she doesn't know what's going on outside. Even the weather is not promising at all. And after that, very loud drum sounds begin in the church. The people think the festival has started, but this is not the show the church expects. Albert feels that there is something strange, but he doesn't know what it is. Suddenly, this huge monster appears behind the church and screams very loudly. The lights in the church suddenly go out, and everyone gets worried and doesn't know what's happening. The guards ask those present to keep calm until they know what's happening outside, for something is happening outside. Pope Gaetan says that this is the gate of hell, and that this sound was the sound of its opening, as he had hoped the monk would have a front row seat to watch this show. After that, we go back in time many years, when Gaetan remembers sitting in his house when one of the bishops knocks on his door. When he opens it, he apologizes for the disturbance at such a difficult time, but he is thinking of nominating him to be the next pope. If he agrees to that, he will undergo the rituals of assuming the position of pope. Gaetan agrees to that, and then he meets with them in the church to begin the rituals. Among these rituals is bathing in Luma Maxima. If he can endure it while maintaining a pure heart, then he is undoubtedly a saint and deserves to be the pope. He told them that he had not done anything wrong, so he became the pope. No one believes that his soul is free of even the slightest speck of evil, but this is what happened, and at that moment, he became the next pope. An event was revealed to him at that moment, which was that the black conspiratorial feeling that he felt was contaminating him inside was more evil than the evil that humanity had known, and that no ray of light could ever reach it. His faith in that abyss was so deeply rooted that it reached its depths. Then we return to reality again, where Pope Gaetan tells Charles that things seem chaotic outside, as his original plan was for a chimera to appear from under this church, but Albert had already dismantled that facility. But this does not cause a problem, as his forces will activate this abat as the waves of the sea do. After that, we move the scene to a street in the city where people are surprised to find a large gap in it. No one knows what it is or how deep it is. Suddenly, many of these monsters come out of it and attack all the people. Then we return to the church again, where Albert is shocked by what is happening, and that the person they were protecting is the person they should have targeted, and that his father is the one they were supposed to protect. Pope Gaetan tells him that he will be next, given that he is the heir to King Charles's rule, and that he frankly intends to eliminate every person who abides by the laws of the state, and everything that people consider to be right is wrong for him. Killing and stealing are not important if the intention behind them is pure. After that, the angel Jeriel appears to fight Pope Gaetan. This is the first time they meet together. At that moment, Albert thinks to himself about what he will do, as he may be able to restrict him in this way of assistance, as there is one enemy and the Pope is there. Can he handle this without harming his father or the guards? After that, Pope Gaetan turns into a monster and carries Charles and his son Albert. Everyone is shocked, and the soldiers are called to arrest him. Charles tells Gaetan that when he saw those descriptions, he remembered his shape when he was young, as he imagined what his son would look like if he were alive. How could everything that happened change him to this extent? Gaetan speaks, "These will be your last words," and he chokes the king. Everyone is scared for him. The king then talks to an angel, asking him to forget about him and save Albert. "Tell my son that I'm sorry I couldn't watch them sing." Gaetan tells them not to worry, because the entire royal family will be sent to heaven, and they will be able to enjoy the performance of their children's lovely music from there. Then Gaetan points the sword at Albert, but the angel uses his power and hides everyone. Gaetan is surprised. The angel says, "After leaving the committee without permission, this is who I serve from the mortal world." When Gaetan sees him, he is very surprised and scared. He remembers a day when Lloyd, the young man who suddenly appeared behind him, was passing by. The shiver he gave me. I had ignored it. Is it possible that I made a great miscalculation as a human? I can reach the heavens, so I would raise my banner of rebellion by eliminating the state or destroying the father of the country. I would prevent a reason for a fall in an attempt to judge him. I was attached to that slight hope for a long time. He then says to Lloyd, "I am very grateful for your death, for my descent into the abyss will be complete. A person who can give me this feeling descends to me in the company of an angel in his service." Lloyd says to him, "I am just a prince, and the seventh at that." Then the scene shifts, and we see everyone. Albert asks Diane, "Is this Salamite Castle?" Diane tells him that he doesn't know anything, and that this matter may be related to the chaos in the streets. Then Albert tells him, "I need your help immediately." After that, he talks to his father, telling him, "The enemy can change his shape whenever he wants, so I am sure he was disguised as his holiness," he replies. "You are right. It must have been an impostor. Inform all the soldiers in the castle that our enemy has occupied the Dean Cathedral. Defend our citizens whatever the cost." Then we return to Lloyd and Gaetan. Lloyd tells him that seeing him in person clarified the matter. "It clarified how little my understanding is of controlling his mana focal points and condensing them to hide his presence. He consumes a huge amount of mana with every passing second. You have a talent for hiding your presence, just as we do." Then Grimm comes and tells Lloyd that Aisha and Princess Saria are fine. Lloyd tells her, "I want you to help the people who are fighting in the city. There are many more raging chimeras than I expected, and I will be completely busy with this person." The angel asks him to leave this matter to him. "This is personal for me." Lloyd refuses, saying, "You can't defeat him. He is a very strong person." Then Grimm remembers talking to Lloyd, saying, "Couldn't you transfer the mysterious scoundrel instantly by monitoring mana?" Lloyd told her, "Not in the short period between him and me. Furthermore, his mana was emitting the lowest presence. His inspection is likely the same thing I do. He is hiding it." Then we return to the present time. Grimm says to herself, "He must be suppressing his mana. He may be at the level of a demon or even a demon lord. I will have to respond." Then she says to Lloyd, "You're advancing on a crazy nonsense like fighting without a barrier. I've gathered the test. If you leave..." Then Gaetan uses his magic and blows up the place, but Lloyd prevents him and attacks him. He hits him many times. Lloyd uses the Septennial and hits Gaetan with it. Then he tells him, "There are many things I want to discuss with you, but before that, there is one thing I wanted to tell you personally. You have crossed the line." Thus ends today's episode of this anime. Wait for us in the next episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new. This anime episode opens with fire blazing through a town. Citizens run in terror as numerous monsters attack. A monster tries to attack a man, but Galilea saves him and tells him to find shelter immediately. A bishop speaks with Galilea, telling him this is their worst-case scenario. Galilea responds that they expected this because Prince Lloyd had informed them of everything. The scene shifts to Lloyd and his friends. Lloyd asks Saria if he can join her in her next recital, expressing a wish to sing in the church. His brother Albert finds this odd and random as they are in the middle of a serious discussion about protecting the king. Lloyd reassures him that everything will be fine and there won't be an attack or assassination. He explains that since he can't contribute to guarding people, he'll sing with Saria. Albert considers this and thinks Lloyd is right. It might be safer for him to stay in the Dying Cathedral. Grimm then questions Lloyd about his nonsensical behavior. Lloyd explains that he believes the Pope himself is the mastermind, a basic deduction because the Pope likely has a lot of free time, while building a shop takes a lot of time and money. Galilea calls this a very simple conclusion. Lloyd replies that he will wait there during the Great Domain Festival until the trouble starts, and they should rest while they can. He tries to leave, but Saria stops him, asking him to practice singing. We return to the fight between the bishops and the monsters. All the bishops know that Prince Lloyd will do something about the mastermind, so their only job is to protect the city with all their might. Lloyd manages to strike Gaetan. Grimm tells Girel to get rid of the Chimera quickly, because the faster they do, the sooner they can support Prince Lloyd. Girel asks if Lloyd, who is so strong, really needs their help. Grimm replies that it's natural for him to be so fierce. He has been angry all the time about what happened before, and recently, people have been representing the possibility of magic in Lloyd's eyes. After seeing what happened, Girel says this means there's nothing to worry about. Grimm disagrees, saying that if something happens, the opposite of what he said will occur. As Pope Gaetan also represents potential, they must kill the Chimera and return quickly. The scene returns to Lloyd with Gaetan. Gaetan tells him the attack made something clear. He no longer cares about Charles or Girel, and if he kills Lloyd, he will have completely indulged his hobby. Lloyd tells him he is wrong, and tells him to come to him. A crow then flies over the city. Babylon understands that these are crows, and when she sees them, she understands the Pope is the mastermind. Bishop Dante tells all citizens to hide inside the cathedral. Rain looks at him and becomes suspicious, because this doesn't guarantee the other bishops are innocent. Some might be complicit with the Pope. She suspects Bishop Dante because he has a mark on his face that reminds her of the Chimera. At that moment, a monster tries to attack her. Bishop Yatro saves her. Rain thanks him for his help, then becomes very tense and uses her power to strike him. Before apologizing, the scene shifts to the cathedral, where people have gathered. Bishop Anastasia tries to burn the cathedral. Talia catches her in the act. Anastasia tells Talia she had hoped to behead her during the chaos. Talia replies that it is unbecoming for a bishop to carry such things. Anastasia responds, "That's why she will resign." We go back to the monsters in the city streets, who are getting close to the remaining bishops. It's clear the monster in the center has a large amount of mana. The monster introduces himself as Grimoire. Everyone is shocked. Bishop Ganmo says this is the legendary devil who wreaked havoc in the kingdom of Salmon long ago, before he was sealed. When he was a child, parents would scold their kids by saying Grimoire would come to them if they misbehaved. Now he has broken the seal, and if they misbehave, he will kill them. The monster then says that he is here in the kingdom that dared to imprison him, and he will take revenge on all of them. We see Crow and Bats running away from the monsters chasing them. Bats says he doesn't mind being a distraction, but asks what they are supposed to do next. Crow ignores him, thinking about the church and if it will be okay without them. Bats tells him that the church has the old woman Melissa to take care of it, and that she's good at what she does, although not as impressive as him, the great Bats. Crow doesn't answer. He thinks that the scent crows are also acting strangely, especially the ones in the middle of the town. Something else is going on, but he doesn't know what it is. He runs away, leaving Bats behind, wanting to know what is happening. He stops on a large building and is shocked by what he sees. Bats catches up, and he is also shocked. They see the gigantic black dragon, a monster from the underworld and part of the Pope's forces with an SSS ring. In that moment, Crow doesn't think about anything and jumps to confront the dragon. Bats is shocked by his action. He is going to face that monster alone without hesitation. He remembers Dante's words that men shouldn't chatter too much, and that communication should be through their backs. Bats decides to go with Crow to face the dragon, as he wants to take another step toward the title of the Great Bishop. We then go to Tao with Bishop Omaki and Akmaki. Chakra, one of the Pope's forces with an A rank, arrives. Chakra strikes Tao very hard and throws her to the ground. The two bishops are afraid of her because she is very strong. They call out to Tao to ask if she is okay. Chakra replies that her swords kill with a single blow, so there is no need to call out to her. She then asks them why they have the same face. It makes things very tiring for her, but she will kill them both at once. Suddenly, Toya wakes up. Shakura is astonished, exclaiming, "Impossible! You should be dead without the ability to break your fall. Your brain should be destroyed." Toya replies that she did in fact break her fall at the last moment. "I happened to step on a fragile-looking arm, so I tore it off and made it a foothold." Shakura replies, "You should have watched your life flash before your eyes." Toya interrupts her, saying, "Actually, my life did flash before my eyes, and it reminded me of something. The Rarikin, the Fist of the Falling Flowers. A spectral martial art style that vanished within one generation with no other followers. I believe the ghost of Shakura, the founder of the Rarikin style, is inside this chimera." Shakura becomes enraged. "My Rarikin has been perfected after gaining this chimera body. Super reflexes controlled by 6 eyes, which no human can possess. Fist techniques made possible by 6 arms. Instant diaries leave no room for broken falls." Toya tells her that she has learned a lot and trained to the point of tears. "I did it to be famous. Look at what that did to your face, and you want to convince me it was for no reason? No way I'm losing to you, not after you've stripped yourself of your humanity." Shakura, furious, says, "I chose to be a chimera instead of a human to have a perfect, unyielding body. This is a clearly logical good. And you say I've stripped myself of something? A little girl who has lived for a few decades?" Toya then uses her power and strikes her in the face. The blow is so severe that Shakura's consciousness returns to the present. The 100 Flowers fist soars savagely like a stormy wind, but the Rarikin will not fall. "I will never be defeated." Toya hits her again and she falls to the ground. The 2 bishops rejoice, and one of them, Atokamaki, says, "It was clearly not an easy victory." Tearing off limbs whenever she was grabbed, the price of repeating it every time, she snatched victory from the hands of defeat against a monster that was random, a mix of stolen power. Her perseverance brought victory. "This victory belongs to the human body." Shakura speaks, and Toya is shocked. "You're still trying to throw me? But in the end, you won and did not give up. I will save a human, a very handsome one." Finally, Shakura says goodbye to life with some touching words and then dies. The scene shifts. Talia tells Galilea that her power has no effect on them. He replies that they are essentially flesh and blood and are likely insensitive to pain. In addition, the goat-headed one is one of those annoying ones who regenerates with mana. "His sorcery is very eloquent," Galilea says. He tells the bishops to go and keep the church safe, and Talia helps him attack. He says, "I will find an opening, then I will restrain them with my spider webs." Grimoire replies, "Do you think that will work against me when you restrain me?" Talia asks Grimoire, "Are you the real one or a fake?" Grimoire replies, "The power of the ancient sorcery I possess is very strong." Then a young man arrives and smashes Grimoire's head, shocking everyone. He uses his power and kills him, saying, "This is no demon, even on the inside." Galilea tells her, "You will focus on the 6 different vulnerabilities throughout the town." The small monster then speaks. "In fact, you were sorcerers who studied ancient magic, and so you became Grimoire's supporters." This is how today's episode of the anime ends. Wait for us in the coming episodes. If you liked the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new.